right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Professor James A. Russell, Associate Professor in the Department of National Security Affairs at NPS, where he teaches U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, military innovation and national security strategy. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, I want to begin by asking you, as I mentioned earlier, the United States, it's asked Israel for an immediate ceasefire. Now, we could say that this is the closest that the United States has come to giving Israel an ultimatum. What I want to understand is, what do you reckon has triggered such a shift in response from the United States? Now they are saying that there may be policy changes.
Well, many of us observers who have been watching this unfolding humanitarian and strategic catastrophe over the last several months have been wanting the White House to start exercising decisive American leadership to bring this conflict to a close and to use the circumstances created by the conflict to create some kind of lasting political settlement between the Israelis and the Palestinians. President Biden has shown no willingness to do this. I'm heartened to hear that his wife has finally chimed in. Maybe President Biden will listen to his wife if he's not listening to those of us in the country that are objecting to this. It remains to be seen whether this change of tone will result in a change of actual, real policy. I would describe the American policy in this war in Gaza as one of style over substance. President Biden has done nothing in the last 5 months to try to bring egregious Israeli behavior to heel. Professor, and I would say, forgive me for interrupting. Go ahead.
I just want to, also just take it a little further from here. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Over 32,000 Palestinians have died in the last nearly 6 months. As soon as there are reports of an Australian citizen dying, a Polish citizen dying, a British citizen dying, dual citizenship, civilian dying, and now there are immediate calls for a ceasefire. Does the US value the lives of its allied nations' civilians more than the lives of Palestinians?
I don't know what to tell you. It's simply it's morally reprehensible behavior. I don't know how else to describe this. And it makes me ashamed to be an American citizen watching our leadership behave in this manner. The Palestinians have been slaughtered wholesale over the last 5 months with American bombs, American munitions. And I might add that as these latest calls are coming on the United States, again from his wife, to stop the killing, President Biden is pressing the Senate to proceed with another $15 billion sale of advanced combat aircraft to the Israelis. I mean, it's just I don't know how to explain. It's morally reprehensible, and I might add, right. So I've been an observer of foreign policy and American presidents over the course of my 30-plus careers in the Department of Defense. And, of course, presidents tend to do this. Public officials tend to do this. But in this particular case, it's just really, I've used this term morally reprehensible. But President Biden has been leaking stories to the press for the last month and a half about how upset he is about this and how, he's opposed to what President Netanyahu is doing.
Yeah, but the weapons transfers, they continue.
But he refuses to take a public stand and take meaningful action to do anything about it. And to me, this raises this whole question, right, of all countries with their leaders face this, which is that, so what are the actual real convictions of the person in charge, right? If they're leaking stories about how they're opposing, but they're afraid to take a public stand against it. I mean, that's what the job is. If you're gonna, if you're elected.
Yes. Yeah, I also just wanted to, get your thoughts on this. Now, What's the weight that you find behind Biden's words? As you've already mentioned in great detail regarding what you feel about, how he has been leaking these stories to the press. But I also wanted to understand, how will this impact their policy change? What kind of policy change can they even bring about, given the fact that the weapons transfers still continue? And also, do you feel Israel is going to abide by it?
This is a good question, of course, and it's a two-part answer. The first answer is that the United States could stop the transfer of weapons paid for by the American taxpayers to the government Israel. It's up to the executive branch, it's up to Biden to send these arms sale notifications to Congress. The Congress reviews these cases, and if they don't do anything about the proposed sales, the sales can proceed. The executive branch doesn't have to present these sales cases to the Congress. It doesn't have to do this. But instead, of course, the Biden administration has done the opposite. At the height of this crisis, we are proposing to provide another billions of dollars of advanced combat airplanes, right, to the Israelis. The Biden administration doesn't have to do this. They're choosing to do this. So that's the first part of the answer to this question, which is related, of course, to the second part of the answer, was that the Biden administration has refused to condition any of this assistance to the Israelis on Israeli behavior, which I might add is based in U.S. law. For anyone who knows anything about the arms transfer process in the United States, the recipients of this equipment are supposed to use this equipment in accordance with the restrictions that are spelled out in something called the Foreign Assistance Act, right? Which places what the Israelis are doing. This is all illegal. It's illegal. And the Biden administration has just, again, it's turned a blind eye.
Right.
He's leaking stories to the press. His wife is complaining about it. What has he actually done? The answer is nothing.
All right. That was Professor Russell joining us and sharing all your insights on this. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.